Hello and welcome. This is Pack 48. My name is Phil. Today I'm going to be making a water bottle pouch come utility pouch. I was asked recently in a comment if I could show one being made, as I didn't quite get when I made the smaller pouch. Didn't quite get it all. So today I'm going to show you a simple water bottle pouch based on the little pouch I've done in one of the last videos. Again, it's very simple, very easy to put together, and yeah, it's you can do this on an old machine like this. You could do it on one of the little more modern ones, providing it'll stitch the material. Like I said in previous videos, don't go making it too complicated. The design is, you know, if you play around with it you can, but if you start stitching too much material, i.e. too thick, it may not stitch on your machine. This one can handle fairly thick materials, but even this has got limits. Industrials, they'll stitch most things, but I haven't got an industrial. I'm not going to buy one, because for me it's, you know, not necessary, you know, because I don't make any stuff anymore. I just do little bits when people ask me, and little projects like this, little hobbies that I want to do, and I want to show you people out there how easy it is for you to make your own gear. You know, it's all well and good going shopping for these things, but if you're like me, when I've gone shopping in the past for things, I can never find what I want the way I want it. Yeah, I can find it in the colour, but it doesn't quite fit my requirement. So this is why, like I said, stated in previous videos, I started making my own bits years and years and years ago, whether it be pouches, whether it be odd little tools, and in the next video we're going to be doing some interesting stuff. I'm going to show you how to make a pry bar, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a giveaway at that point. When I get to my 50th subscriber, I will pick the name out. I'll say the person's name if they want me to on air, and I will send them that pry bar that I make. So with the pouch and everything else, you know, and then we'll see where that goes, and then maybe when we get to 100 we'll do the same thing again. So come along, enjoy the show. I'll try and keep it as quick as I can, so let's get going. Right, I've got all my materials pretty much laid out. That's a pouch that I made recently. You know, this is what I'm going to base this one on today. It's been slightly narrower than this one. This is a utility pouch that I made a while ago. It's got a single internal pocket on the back, nothing on the lid. It's got a bit of Velcro and a fixed X buckle, or a plastic buckle, whatever you want to call them. They might come under different names in different countries, I don't know. Over here I tend to use fixed X because they're more readily available. I say fixed X, I don't even know if they exist anymore. It's just whatever I can get hold of, basically. We're using khaki 1000 Dyna Cordura again. We're using some offcuts of an old British Army poncho, some old British Army web tape, some narrower 15mm web tape, some edge strip which will edge the pouch right off at the end, and that's about it. There's not a really lot more to go with this pouch, apart from the main body, wherever that's gone. I'll put it somewhere, because I cut it out yesterday already. And then sod's law, people tidy it up, don't put nothing back where they find it. Oh, you have to excuse this. It's the problem you have when you put things down and other people come in and use their machines. got it. Someone chucked it in another bag. Okay, sorry about that, let's crack on. So what I basically done then is marked out the pouch itself, a lot of pencil on it. I couldn't make my mind up how big I wanted to make it or how small I wanted to make it at the time. So, sharpen the pencil off. Can't do nothing with a blunt pencil. I may edit this little bit out. I'll get the director to edit it out, I should say, not me. Right, this is the beauty about stripping things down, is you end up with lots and lots of little buckles and straps. Bag loads. You know, that I've collected over the years. You know, soon mounts up. But you can obtain all this gear, all this material from a company called Contact Left. They do all the different types of corduroys, most colours you can think of. They do all the threads. In this case I'm using the 40 bonded, which is something that I use all the time. I try not to use anything heavier because the machine won't stitch it. And what I mean by heavier, you can get a 60 and I think you can get a 50. It's slightly thicker and it's a bit too thick for an old machine like this to handle. So a 40, it seems to stitch quite nicely with a 40, especially when I'm making stuff. So I stick to a 40 and that's what I've used for years and that's what I'm going to stick to. Contact Left, they will supply large amounts if you want, or they will supply small amounts if you want. So if you only wanted, say, half a meter or a meter, they can accommodate that. If you purchase off them and mention my website, Pack 48, you will get some discount off them, 10% I believe it is. I'm not saying I get anything in return, I don't. I haven't received, and I don't do this for any monetary returns or anything like that. I just do it because I enjoy doing it and I want to pass on knowledge that I've gained over 40 years of doing bushcraft and survival and bits of prepping, soldiers work, you know, stuff out in the field that I enjoy, whether it be walking or whatever. I just want to pass on the knowledge. Hopefully when the weather gets a bit better now, we'll be able to get down into the woods and do some stuff down there. But what I want to try and do is try and keep this show unique. I don't want to do the same thing as everyone else seems to be doing on YouTube, showing a bug out bag, showing their kit. You get down to the woods, you start pulling the bits out and it's practically all still wrapped and it hardly ever gets used. If you're gonna do a video with kit, use the kit. You know, be honest with yourself and say, yeah, I use this all the time when I go out. I know what the kit I got I'm going to use because I do use it. I make it to use. I don't buy stuff or make stuff just to look pretty. You know, I make it to use, and anyone that knows me knows that's the case. So, without being told, and you know, I digress and rabbit on as I tend to do. Let's crack on with today's episode, because knowing my son, you'll probably edit most of this out now. Okay, so we got all our bits. So what I'm going to do with the main pouch is I'm going to put a pocket on the back end, on the back piece and the front piece. So I know, because I'm using that as my template, which is, and I don't like to advertise people, Pathfinder, the Pathfinder School bottle and cup. This is the smaller bottle. I like it. I don't like the lid. I don't boil water in my lids. Sorry, in my bottles. I don't boil water in them. I use a bottle for drinking out of, and that's it. That is my pet hate. It's not having somewhere securing my lid to the bottle. When you're on the move and you want to drink, the last thing you want to be doing is holding a top in one hand and a bottle in the other. If you go and trip over something while you're drinking water, you could lose your top. You know, that's all I'm saying. I'd like to see a new top come with an ability to attach it to the bottle. That's all I'm saying. That's me. That's my opinion. I think it's a good opinion. You know, many years out in the field, you know, and there's lots of soldiers out there and people who've walked that have lost bits of kit because they either were moving too quickly and forgot to strap something down properly, and that's the thing. You know, many times I've walked over Brecon Beacons, Sunnybridge training area in the past and found bits of kit that people had dropped because they've been bugged out. Anyway, I could digress again. Let's crack on. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do then is, as before, I'm going to stitch on the back straps so you can attach it to put it on your belt. Now we know the pouch is going to be about 7 inches deep, because we know this one's about 7 inches deep, because I know this bottle will fit in there quite nicely. But as you can see, it's a bit floppy in there. It will fit in there with a cup, but what I'm doing this time is I'm trying to make a bottle pouch that's slightly snugger, not so bulky. Virtually identical to this pouch, so I can use them in conjunction with each other. I can use one as a water bottle pouch, one as a utility pouch on a belt. Or yet again, like I said, I can put them on a day sack. So let's have a quick measurement. Now, the actual pouch is about 7¼ inches deep. So if I go 7½, be my top line. So 7½ would be my top line. That's where I won't stitch above. Now I'm using a pencil because it's so much easier. That one didn't go to the mark, did it? I wonder if the line isn't straight. Anyway, I think I've been drinking the way you know, I drew the line in. Okay, so basically I'll then come down a ruler's width, draw another line, and then from the top line down, because I know we're going to be about 4 inches, we're going to go 4 inches, because the biggest belt you're going to wear will probably be about 38mm, or a webbing belt which probably might be about 40mm. So you want it to slip over either. Yeah? So what we got here is, when you come in then and you imagine you got, that is your line of where you're going to stitch your strap. So you stitch there, you then stitch there, and then you just stitch across the bottom there. Yeah, this will leave a slipway there and your 4-inch slipway there. Now the beauty about the 4-inch is it will slide over the padding of your day sack. If you happen to have a padding on a day sack that's removable like mine, and you can use it. They don't normally make them bigger than 4 inches. Some companies do. They make a 6-inch padded belt which looks ridiculous, but they're attached to the bag, they're not removable, and I wouldn't wear one of them anyway because it looks a bit daft, but there you go. So what we'll do now is we'll get my little lighter, burny end. This is just the top end for the moment. That one's been done. I don't want to use this end. That's just to stop it fraying, and we'll continue. I'm going to switch the light on the machine so I can see a little bit better. Okay, as you've seen in previous videos, I tend to do that, which is about right for what I want. Okay, so I want to come in just inside that line there, down with the foot, and there we go. Take that one off for the moment. Now I'm using my old tried and tested box or cross stitch. This is very simple to do. Unfortunately, like I said in previous videos, this machine will only stitch one way, and that's forward. It won't go backwards, doesn't go sideways, doesn't do zigzag, it just stitches one way. So you've got to be a bit adventurous with what it is you're doing and figure it out. You know, the best ways to stitch. Getting a bit of a, oh, I didn't stitch, snap. Too much of a tension on there for some reason. Yeah, let's try that. These old machines can be quite temperamental. One minute they stitch perfect, other times then they don't. Shoot it up a little bit underneath for some reason. This is why you've got to be careful when you're, you know, loading up your bobbins. That can affect, you know, how much you do, or how the stitch goes, I should say, not how much you do. It can affect it quite a lot. So there we go, that's that one done. And I want to come in about 1/4 of an inch on this one as well. So I'm going to come over there. Now I'm not going to worry too much if it's perfect or not at this stage. Just come across with a stitch, stop, and then just repeat what I just done. Get yourself into a nice little rhythm, not ribbon. Very simple technique. I never worry too much about whether the stitching is super neat. Because I'm not concerned what people think of the stitching, because I don't care anymore what people think. You know, people have had my kit pouches before when I've made them for them. They've never worried whether the stitching was perfectly straight. They just worried whether or not it done what it was meant to be doing. You know, which is carrying their kit, their bits in the knowledge that he wouldn't lose anything. I'm not a big lover of Molly. I don't like the way. I just not a big lover of it. I don't know why. Well, I do know why. I just don't like the fact that, you know, you're going to strap an expensive bit of kit or a pouch with some kit in it on the outside of your rucksack. The potential for loss there is ridiculous. And if any of you have ever lost any kit like that, you know, you'll know what I mean. I mean, I lost a machete once out on an exercise on Salisbury Plain, and I was gutted because, you know, to be able to get that machete took a long time. But they were like gold dust in the military at one time, and to get one from a surplus store was, you know, an expensive thing to do. You know. But, you know, we all learn from our lessons, hopefully. Okay, that's that done. And just come down to the bottom then, and stitch along the bottom. That's just enough to hold it there for the time being. Don't need any of that, so that can come off. Same with this side now. Let's make sure it's nice and neat. Make it's all straight. If you're making stuff for yourself, I mean, you don't need, you know, to worry about so much of stitching. But like I said, it's only you that's making it. So yeah, I mean, the one thing like I said, I watch a lot of YouTube. Well, I watch a lot of YouTube. I'm a big fan of ancient history. Big fan of people who can make stuff from practically nothing, like pallets and stuff like that. So I'm watching shows like that. There's not many programs on there that show people making stuff for bushcraft. And our ancestors made their own clothes. I mean, you know, if they were going like the frontiers, people used to make their own clothes. You know, I'm not saying we go. I mean, it's just an interesting fact. You know, that a lot of these things our ancestors took for granted, we flippantly avoid nowadays. You know, I love to see people repurposing things, you know, because we live in a throwaway culture and it's wrong. That we just throw away stuff without even thinking. Plastic, for instance, it's such a versatile bit of product. You know, you can make just about anything from it. You know, I mean, what's the problem this morning? The guys made, you know, they chipped up all this plastic into little chips. Then that was moulded in a mould into 3x2 battens, and used them battens then to make themselves a cart, which they towed behind their bikes to collect plastic to do more projects. And I thought that was incredible. You know, but there's not enough goes on. You know, we're just so flippantly throwing away stuff just for the sake of it. Some of you keen-eyed people might have noticed what I've done there. I forgot to do around the box on that one piece. Okay, let's snip that off there. Okay, so that's that then. Not a lot to it, quite simple. As you can see, yeah, two nice big thick belt loops. Yeah, and you've got another loop at the bottom. So potentially I could hang that on a bag. I could strap it through on the side straps on a day sack, if they got straps, that is. If they haven't, then yeah, you've got to find some other means to attach it. But I like to make things that do attach to my day sacks, this being one of them. So I'll strip a bit more of that off. Okay, just tidy this up a little bit. Now, like I said, I'm repurposing an old British Army poncho here, the material. I do have some old tent material, which is a similar colour. And the reason I like using the old British Army stuff is quite simple. I just need a pocket first. I need to make a pocket for the inside. So, nothing fancy, yeah, just simple. Turn around, come back. The more things you attempt to make, the easier it becomes. You know, like I said to you in previous, you know, if you practice with some old material first, make a couple of cutouts, have a little practice, you'll find that these things will go together really easy. Yeah. $1.25. So you don't have to, because after a while, once you get efficient at making stuff, and then you'll end up like me. You can do a lot of it by eye. Just over 6. So the reason I mark out a lot is because I like to make sure my lines, when I stitch something on, it goes on where it's meant to go. But when you're using scrap material and materials from other bits of kit, I don't always go that way. And like I said to you, this pouch will be slightly different from the other pouch I made. In that it'll be narrower. It'll have an extra pocket in it. For all intents and purposes, it'll look practically the same. But like I said, I try not to make two things identical, purely and simply because people in the past have had stuff pinched off them and by someone who's lost theirs, or and other people have tried to claim that I was theirs, and being a good friend, I've always said, look, I'll make you another one, don't worry, it won't cost you nothing, but that's to my own cost. And they were good friends, so as I don't make stuff so much now for anybody, I just like I said, I do this as a hobby for myself. Not really. Yeah, that's quite easy. Now, like I said before, there's some of you are going to say, "Oh, you're stitching that far too much." You could put all those pieces together quite easy without all that stitching. Well, that's you. This is me. I'm making it. You're not. And this is the way I look at it. When I make something, I like to make it so that it lasts, and so that the people who I do make stuff for will appreciate it more, knowing that when you've made something for them, even if it's just a one-off, they'll appreciate that more than if they had to go and buy it. I remember the first bum bag I made it in camo, and my friend Clubby had it off me, bought it off me down in Great Yarmouth. I think it was Great Yarmouth, which is where I bought my first cold steel knife from, I believe. If it was Great Yarmouth, it was down on the coast of England somewhere anyway. And yeah, I had it with me when we were down there on exercise, and he liked it, offered to buy it off me, and I was dumbing and ahhing, and we were out on the town, and I had a knife with me at the time, and he said, "Oh, I'll buy the knife and the pouch off you, and what I pay you for it, you can buy that knife." And that's what I did. So they paid for my knife basically, so I didn't have to spend any of my own money. So, and a few years later, I was chatting to him, and he said he lost it on exercise. Not the pouch, the actual knife itself. But there you go, that's life. Right. 10.5 is 5 1/4 is the centre. I like to check on these things just to be on the safe side. This pencil will come off quite easy, you know, with a damp cloth, or it'll fade off with time. You can rub it and it'll start to come off as it is, you know. But I'm not worried about a bit of pencil on a pouch. You know, it's going to get muck and crap all over it anyway, so I never worry about stuff like that. Okay, so here we go. Where's that buckle going now? Lift the buckle. So, what I'm going to do with this one, which is something I haven't done for a while on many of my pouches, is that when I stitch the base area there down onto the material, I'm going to make a loop at the bottom like so. That loop I used to put on a lot of my pouches years ago, and that was for if you had 3 or 4 pouches on a belt, you could put a piece of cord through to keep them all nice and snug, or a bungee, I should say. Not you could use paracord, but a bungee is what we used to use more of. Just feed a bungee through and just pull it nice and snug, so when you're wearing it, it all stays nice and close to your body, so if you've got to move quickly, you don't have bouncing pouches everywhere. And that's something I've seen quite regular, where people out up on the hills and mountains, especially in Wales, people running around, there's bits of kit bouncing around on their rucksacks because they haven't strapped it down properly. So yeah, there's one thing you've got to be careful of, especially with things that you strap on the outside when you've paid money for them. You know, if you're moving around, you could potentially lose them, and if you lose it, it's someone else's gain, and that's what you don't want. You don't want someone else to gain off your sorrow, sort of thing. So be wary with your kit. You know, you pay a lot of money for bits of kit. This is what can happen sometimes. The measurements don't quite match up, and that line isn't straight, so I just looked at that. Now that's 5 1/4 there, and that's 5 1/4 there, so that is dead straight, so I know that's fine. So if I go 5 1/4 there and 5 1/4 there, should take it to there, 2 1/4 there, and it's 2 1/2 there, so I need to take off that 1/4 inch there. Which will bring it to there. Now, that takes that up to 3, and that up to 3, so we're square on there. That's 2 3/4. That's 2 3/4. So 2 3/4 would be there. So 2 3/4 would be there. Now I'm going to snip a little bit off this. This is what happens sometimes when your measurements ain't what they should be. I could have waited till I stitched it. But I won't. Call me impulsive. Why not? I'm a Welshman. I'm allowed to be. Welshmen are perfect. Well, almost. Okie dokie. Right. So we know my stitch line is going to be there, roughly there. So my pouch is going to actually be, when I finish stitching it, about 3.5 inches wide. Yeah. So we're going to be ½ an inch difference on the actual back, so that's perfect. Now I need to work out where up on here I want to do my first bit of stitch. So what I've done is made a little mark. Now I know the bottom of the pouch is going to be roughly around here. And I don't want it too close to the bottom, but I don't want it too close to the top. On this one I made it so that on this pouch I did it so it was virtually in line with the top of the stitch, which I didn't really want. It should have been a bit further higher up. Yeah, so this is what I'll do with this one. And I didn't put a loop on this one, which I should have done. It was only because I dug a pouch out the other day and I seen it on there and I was like, oh yeah, that's how I used to do them. So, same again. This time we're putting it the opposite way. So we'll put it on. Roughly in the centre. Foot on the machine. And away we go. Make sure that's centred again. Stop there now. You flip the strap over. Now I want to make that loop in the bottom. So how much I want to make the loop? That's up there, I think. It should be alright. Okay. Let's put a mark either side. Top. Okay. Here we go. A little bit of flaking on the thread then for some reason. So that's what I've created now. I've created that little loop on the bottom. Like I said, you can use that. I've seen people hanging carabiners off them. Why you want to if you're using it as a utility pouch, yeah, I can see the point. You carry utility, a carabiner on a pouch. Personally, we used to use those for, like I said, a bungee or a bit of paracord to strap all your pouches together. You carry more than one. Makes life a little easier. Keeps everything nice and snug to the body. Right. With that in tow, I've now got to stitch on a piece of might have some here actually. Velcro. As you can see, I try to keep as much as I can of my Velcro because it's not cheap stuff to buy. And getting it in khaki green isn't cheap. So we'll use that piece. That piece can go in there, that piece can go back in there. That's why I pay sometimes to keep lots of bits and bobs from bits you've taken apart. That's why I love taking stuff apart. You know, because it makes life a little easier for yourself. As you can see, this has been stitched onto something before. I took this off a big strap that I'd found at a boot sale, and it just had a big long, I think it was about 7 foot long piece of Velcro on it, both sides, and I paid £1 for it. So yeah, I mean it's sometimes it pays to go to boot sales or garage sales or flea markets, you know, whatever you want to call them. Right, so now I'm going to measure how much of this I'm going to actually physically use. I don't want to go too close to that, and I don't want to go too close to the top. 4 inches I think will be enough. 4 inches will be enough. Over there. I'll cut this piece to 4 inches, even though it probably won't be, so I may end up having to cut a bit more off. As you can see, I stuck that piece I just cut off on the other piece, because you never know when it might come in handy for something. Put that back in the box. Happy days. Okay, so let's get on with this, sticking this bit of Velcro on. So let's find the centre of the Velcro. Velcro is 2 inches. There's an inch that end. Inch that end. Line them up. I don't, like I said, I don't want to go all the way to the top because I'm going to fold over, and having your Velcro up that high is not really going to make much difference anyway, especially when you're closing the pouch. So, line up the marks, on with the foot, make sure it's fairly straight. Stitch away. I saw an old friend of mine this morning, Steve 21. Well, I phoned him up to say that I'd found the green stuff to put on the berry that I had for him. The beret, I should say, not beret. Beret is French, beret is British. I was supposed to have taken it up to him a couple of weeks ago, but obviously couldn't find the green stuff to put on there. So I phoned him this morning to apologise. Thinking the phone call would only be a couple of minutes, it ended up being an hour, but a very interesting phone call. I had some very interesting comments off my friend Steve 21. He's an amazing man. If he could write down half the stories he knows, he could make millions. Unfortunately, he'd have to kill everyone that read it. But very good friend, very knowledgeable, and I'm hoping I'll get this post that he's applied for. So we'll see what happens. There you go. One more this way. Done. Okay, that's stitching my Velcro on. Sorry about the noise in the background. That's my daughter trying to organise some stuff outside. She's chopping some timber up. She thinks because you can use a drill now, she knows how to build stuff. Which, yep, give her 5 minutes and she probably would. Okay, so that's that bit then. Now I can't use that bit because it's not long enough, so that's redundant. Can't use that bit because that's redundant. What I'm trying to find now is a piece long enough to take me from the bottom to at the top. So I've got an extra bit at the bottom and I'll make myself a pocket. And then what I'll do is, with these pouches when I get around to it, is put an eyelet in the bottom so that if any water does get in the pouch, it'll drain out. Because the last thing you want is if you're out hiking and you fall in the stream, your pouch fills up with water and you're carrying extra weight. Because it will eventually seep out through probably where it's stitched, but you know, I don't want to take that risk. You know, nothing worse. There you go. Okay, let's just check that fits on here nicely. And it does. Lovely. Lovely job. Okay, that's tidy, as you can say in Wales. Right. This was the hood of a British Army poncho. And the amount of these I've cut up over the years is ridiculous. But if you can pick them up for £1 down at boot sale, they make excellent lining material for whatever it is you're making. But you know, if you can't find one, use some old tents. I've cut up old tents before now. You know, I've cut up all sorts of stuff before now to use. You know, on the boot sale, and someone was selling old motorcycle cover. There was silver one side, black the outside. I paid £1 for it, and there was enough material in there to put in 30 or 40 pouches or more. So like I said, it does pay sometimes, but I don't always, and I'll emphasise this, and you know, is I don't always go to boot sales for all my stuff. I do use a company called Contact Left, like I said. They are good, because there's just some things you don't want to have second hand. Like, I don't want to use, unless that's all I got at the time, you know, I don't want to use too much second hand stuff if I can help it. But if it's all I got at the time, then that's what I'll use. If that's all I can afford at the time to use, that's why I'm making it for myself, that's what I'll do. When I've done repairs in the past, you know, and I've had to dissect other bits of kit for what bits I need, you know, that's why people keep coming to me to ask me to repair stuff for them. Because I can, in most cases, stitch it. Like recently I got asked to repair an MOD rucksack. I might have mentioned this in a previous video. And the gentleman that came to me, Ginge, a very good friend of mine, said, I came to you because I know that you can fix this. He said, I took it to a shop, and the guy that was in there and the woman is there, so we can't repair that. There's no way we can repair that. And he was like, oh, okay. Because they had industrial machines. He brought it to me, I fixed it within a day. Yeah, it took some fiddling and playing around, and I had to unstitch other bits to get at it, but I got it done. And it was stronger when I finished it than it was when it came out of the factory, probably. So, it doesn't say a lot for some of the kit that is out there anymore. Over the years I've repaired one of these. For all you people watching, if you tell your friends about it, then I'll give one of these away with a pouch to wherever you are. I'll pick a 50th person, subscriber. I'll even put a belt loop on the back of one of these and send it off to you. And I hope you get some good enjoyment out of it. And I would like you then to comment back or make a little bit of a film to show us you've received it and you're going to try it out. That'd be great. We'll put that on as part of one of the episodes if you want. If you don't, then we won't. If you don't want us to name you, then we won't. Yeah, so we'll do that. It's a useful bit of tool, something I made. Yeah, like I said, I'm trying to make stuff that you can make at home yourselves with basic tools. I made that. The pouch on the sewing machine off an old bit of strapping. The actual tool itself, like I said, was a pry bar. It's either a motorcycle pry bar or a car pry bar. Very old Dunlop ones. And I just basically used a file, and that's all I used, and a bit of paracord. Yeah, nothing else. So very simple to make, and that's what we'll be doing as a giveaway at some point. Like I said, 50th subscriber. I don't have a lot of subscribers at the moment because the word's not getting out as quick as I would have thought about the program. I'm trying to do something different. If there's something you think that we could change that makes it unique on this program, I would love to have a comment off you. You know, drop it below and let's get going. You know, right? Okay, I digress. Let's get back. Okay, so now, like I said in the previous video, what we've got now is we've got our corners cut out pre-done. Yeah. So all we're going to do now is fold edge to edge and stitch along that edge. Okay, here we go. Three. 4. And that's the one side done. We'll now do the other side. Like I said, just fold corner to corner. And stitch along that. Very easy, very simple to do. And I'm sure there'll be people out there, like I said before, who probably work for a company that makes stuff using machines, that'll probably say, well, I don't like the way he's doing that. Okay, so then you turn it inside out. Have a little measure of that. I want to see how big that, wide that is. That's 3 3/4. I might have to take it in a little bit narrower than that. So let's get the bottle. The way I always look at it is I always look at it from the bottom. Now, the keen-eyed people I'm sure will say, well, he hasn't made that deep enough, but you've got the back to go on yet as well. So, it's about right. It's about right. Maybe a little bit not snug enough at the bottom, but do I want to take it in any more? That's a good question. Take it in another fraction on each side. So I didn't quite take it in 1/4 of an inch. So this is taking it in about, I don't know, a couple of mils. So this is probably 1/2 inch I've taken it in, cut it in on each side now. So I think it was 2 3/4 that I cut, and I should have cut a bit more. So yeah, it's not, like I said, it's not a perfect science. When you're making one-offs, and I don't use stencils to get my size in and stuff like that correct. Maybe I should, I don't know. But like I said, I try to make things that are unique, one-offs. Well, I say unique and one-offs. Someone asked me for a utility pouch, you'll probably make it the same way. But it'll be slightly different to the last one I did. Only slightly. And there's not a lot. Trim off. Snip off the ends. Trim off. Snip off the ends, and there you have it. Okay, so there we have the pouch. So check with the water bottle, it's fine. All looks okay. Now, the pouch is a lot deeper at the top than would normally be. Like I said, because if you're going to put a bottle inside and a cap like that, although it's not going to come up by much more, but I'm making this pouch so I just carry a bottle in it. So I want to take that down by about there. So I just got the top of the bottle showing, and that's all I want. So I'm going to cut a 1/4 of an inch off the height of this pouch. Took a 1/4 of an inch. I can't work in centimetres, I'm sorry. I mean, if you do, so I'm taking just over a 1/4 inch. Just there. Okay, take a line across then. Like I said, don't have to be perfect because in my book, no such a thing as perfect. Near perfect. Okay, so all we're going to do now is we're going to stitch over the top. So we do a fold, offer it up to the machine, clamp down on the foot. Like I said to you before, I try to keep my fold roughly about the same thickness or width as the foot on the machine. So I know then I'm going to run pretty much level all the way across, and this is where experience and eye comes in. So as you probably won't be able to see it, it's pretty much the same thickness all the way across, and I just come back with my double stitch. Come off, and that is the front done. Now, we're going to marry, not literally, but we're going to marry up the front and back together to create the actual pouch. So, a little bit of trimming is required, I've just noticed. On that side, trim on that side. Yep. That's good. Okay, so now you've got a pocket in the front, pocket in the back. Yeah. So now measure up the length down to the stitch line, join line, and that's 7 3/4. So 7 3/4. I'll take it to there. 7 3/4 to there. So that's roughly where the top of the pouch is going to come in. Yeah. So first deliberate mistake. Okay. Now, one of the things I pointed out in my last program, and I should have showed you a bit closer, is I'll grab it now so I can show you. When using belt pouches on a pad like this, yeah, like I said to you, they do slip over the buckles, fairly easy, you don't have to take the buckle off. Yeah, I made a pad with a loop in it. The belt is stitched into the back and then stitched in, but not in between. So if I wanted to, I could hang a pouch on there if I had to, if I wanted to. Yeah, same in here. Yeah, it won't go any further than the belt loop there. Yeah, but how do these pouches stop from moving forward? Quite simple, really. I don't know if you can see that. Okay, you've got your belt loop, Yeah, and then you've got a secondary loop which has been put on. And what this secondary loop does is when you feed your belt on and through that loop, so your pad goes through and your belt goes through, the pad, when it comes through, doesn't go through the second loop, it goes behind it, right, until you get beyond. Then the belt comes through. It's quite a simple technique for holding pouches on. That then goes through the second loop, yeah, through the belt loop and pulls tight, yeah. That then stops that pouch going any further forward. Very simple technique, very simple to use, and the beautiful thing about that is I've got a nice gap on the back then for the bum pouch that I showed you, which you can put on there. You could, like I said, you could put the bigger pockets on if you wanted and have a bigger pocket on there. So yeah, I mean that is just a simple way to keep that on. I haven't put one on there yet, so I've got to sort that out now. So that's what we'll do in a minute. But that was just a quick show to show you how, when I explained it before, someone did ask me how do you keep it on it, and I did show, but I didn't show it properly, so I do apologise for that. Now, because I've already stitched the pocket on the inside, I got to decide whether or not I want to, where I'm going to put this and how I'm going to put it. Now I used a bit of material for that, so I could do the same again. So find a bit of material. Right, got a bit of cordura. Now, like I said, all I simply done was just make a fold. This is not low bearing or anything like that. You could use a bit of tape if you wanted. You know, if you've got tape thin enough to do that on. Don't think I've got any left. I got some black, but I don't want to put black on it. Okay, that's that then. Fold it again. There is an easier way to do this. But this is the way I do it. A lot, you probably choose it to make. I might even use a bit of the square belt to do it. And I would, I should have put it on way before, at the same time as I put the straps on. So that's my fault. Too busy talking, not enough concentrating, unfortunately. But there you go. Can't have everything in that. Okay. So I could stitch this onto the side of the pocket. I don't really want to do that. I'd rather stitch it on the back, so when the belt comes through, it doesn't go any further than that. So, but the problem I got now is I won't be able to stitch the pouch on it. So that is the problem. So I'm not going to put that on at the moment until I've stitched the back on. So let's get the back on to the front. The lesson learned for me, that is, in that I should be paying more attention to what I was doing. Right, okay. simple then, just come straight down to that corner, so that stitch line is where you stop. Pull off, snip it off. Now again, this is a long-winded way of doing it, and if my calculations and all my cuts were perfect, then I wouldn't need to be doing this, but like I said, nothing's perfect in life, and this is the only way you're gonna get it so that it looks. Yeah, there are people that'll be going, oh, that's terrible the way he's done that. But I'm making it, you're not. This is easy, you know. And the reason why is I'll show you now. Come down to the stitch line again. That bit on the bottom is hard to turn on because of the way it's stitched. Yeah. So if you look at that now, the stitch line virtually correlates to the corner, or where the corner is there. But because the actual pouch is narrower than the actual back piece, because the back piece is 4 inches wide and the front is 3.5 inches, I believe, and there's a bit of a discrepancy. This is why I didn't stitch around earlier, in case when I got to this side it was out slightly and it'd be out up on my line at the top. And as long as your line's at the top a level, no one's going to notice it. So now I know that's fine. Now I can stitch it properly. Yeah, a little bit of playing around and, you know, what's the saying? We like to say in Wales, fannying around. Okay, so here we go then. Get to the bottom, come slowly to the stitch, pull the base up so you can see where the fire, stitch across, make sure your material is pulled nice and tight so you can see where everything is. I mean, if you were knocking these out every day and you were doing loads of them, you know, obviously there'd be ways you could, you know, make them quicker, a lot easier. Corners always seem to be, that's why I nipped the edge off the pocket, because it'll be too much material in the corners. Like I say, this is a very simple water bottle pouch, utility pouch, whatever you want to call it. I'll stitch there and I'll turn around, I'll come back up once again. Bit of overkill, I know, but again, like I said, down, stop, come across, there you go, that's the way you do it. There you go. Okay, let's have a little clean up now. Let's see how we've done. Now I know it's overkill with a stitch, but like I said, and I'll keep saying it, you know, you've got to think that these pouches are going to be thrown around, they're going to be dropped, they're going to be kicked, there'll probably be all sorts of stuff. So when you're making them, you've got to make them so that they're tough. Good, nice and neat. Let's try it with the cup. The cup fits in there nicely, even though I probably won't have the cup in it because I only want the bottle in it. That's why I made it. But as you can see, nice and snug. A very simple water bottle pouch. There's not a lot can go wrong with it. You can still carry your Puri tabs in there, in the back pocket, maybe in a little plastic bag with some salt. In the bottom you can put a bit of Scotch-Brite right down in the bottom, you know, so it rests on that. In the front then you can put maybe a coffee filter, a couple of coffee filters, the paper ones, in a bag for filtering water out of streams. I do not boil water in my bottle. My bottle is where I'm going to drink my water from. I am not going to boil in that. Now I know a lot of people do, and I watch it quite often, but I ain't going to burn this in the fire and then drink out of it after. Not because it'll be hot, because, you know, I just don't want to. You know, that's what that's for. So you boil the water up in there. When it's cooled down, you put a coffee filter on your bottle and pour it in through that way, and then the coffee filter will filter out any other bacteria. And if need be, then when it's cooled down fully, you drop a couple of Puri tablets in there just to help you out. That is the way I would do it. You know, this is a clean one. This is a new one I bought recently. You know, so you know, I've bought a couple of them. I have had one of these since they first came out, and I think they're brilliant bits of kit. But many years ago we used to use aluminium tins that we used to pick up here, there and everywhere, and that's what we used. Whatever we could find we would use, you know. Basically when these came along, these are brilliant bits of kit. But anyway, right, okay, so there's your pouch. That's all nicely stitched now, so I'm going to have a little tidy up on the outside. I was thinking of putting a pocket on the inside lid, and I might very well do that, because I think it's although it's not an area that you would often find a pocket, you know, but it's a good area to have. You could put a bit of Scotch-Brite in it, you know. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stitch the outer buckle on. So let's get me a bit of strap. As you can see, this is a buckle. I think it was off a rucksack, an MOD ex-surplus rucksack. Like I said, you know, if I could. Before I used to trawl at boot sales and places like that for materials, because I didn't want to be going to companies at the time and buying stuff because it was expensive, or I'd have to traipse all the way out of Cardiff, you know, which is where I live. I'd have to go 60 miles out of my way one way, 60 miles the other way, you know, just to pick up some material. So 60 miles out, 60 miles back, to spend £30 on a bit of material. Yes, I know someone's going to say, well, why didn't you order it? Well, sometimes when you go to approach these, what I used to get was, because I didn't go to a company that would supply, and I didn't know they'd supply in smaller amounts, I'd approach companies that were making stuff out of the materials, out of the cordura, and that's where I would, you know, I'd phone them and ask them if they would sell me a couple of meters, and they would, and then I'd go and pick it up. But other than that, yeah, it's not the sort of thing that you want to be doing. Okay, so I don't really want a lot of buckle on, tape on the top. So if I cut there, always remember to burn material. your way of tape, because if it starts to fray, then you've got to tidy it up, and you know it just looks tacky. Okay, so let's find the center, just over 2, so that's there roughly. It's not perfect, but like I said, not many of us are. No one is actually. We're an imperfect being in a perfect world, which is being ruined by imperfect beings. But there you go. Just got to learn to get on with each other and sort out the issues of why we're throwing out so much useful stuff. Why can't they make cars that are fully recyclable instead of crushing them up into big lumps? You know, if you made them, you know, as everyone's going for plastic, why do they make cars so bloody big and heavy? They are not recyclable, fully recyclable. Right. Now on these buckles, one of the things some people notice, some people don't, in each corner there's a little circle. Now I always tend to put that bit down, facing down. So I want to come in about 1.5 inches. Just about there. And that's where my buckle's going to be. The head's going to be, so the end of the buckle basically is then resting on the end of the lid. Yeah. So take the bag to do the same as I've done before. If you listen to the machine, it makes a thud because it's stitching through old tape. On new tape it doesn't make that noise because new tape is a lot softer. This is quite hard, and it's got a lot of dirt around it probably, so this one makes it a bit stiffer, but on the whole pretty good. You know. See the problem you're going to have in a minute when you try to stitch at angles. Look at this stuff. I made that a little bit short for some reason. That's where you have the problem. When you try to put the foot down, if you're going from this way, the foot is resting on part of the buckle. But as long as you get that, as long as you're careful, you should be able to do it. So there we go. That's that done there. So people can't leave me alone for 5 minutes. They're going to keep disturbing me when I'm trying to tune. Okay, so what I've gotten to now is I've cut out the inner pocket. What I got to do now is square it off. Get my piece of Velcro, and that's going to go on there. I don't think it's going to be one that size, but then again. Trying to get it straight on the material is make sure your lines are straight. Nothing worse than when you're trying to concentrate on something and someone that comes in disturbs you just because they're looking for something. And I'm sure many of you have had that experience. People coming in to where you're doing a bit of filming or you're doing a project, and they come in, not even knock, just barge in, make a load of noise. Yeah. Okay. So let's put that over there, got that, that. That's the next thing we're going to need. Right. Okay, so the lid is now you don't have to do this on your pouches. This is just adding a bit extra, just trying a different technique for stitching the inner Velcro on. Box. Just find the centre. 4.5, 2 and 2. Again, you're not really going to see this particular pocket from the outside of the pouch because it's going to be stitched like that. So I want to come to about 1 inch off the bottom. So I could do it the other way, so when you open the pocket, that's open, and I could have done it like that. But I don't like seeing stitching on pouches, so that'll be hidden. When I say stitching, the buckles. Not that it bothers me that much, it doesn't. But I'm a bit finicky about stuff like that. Okay. So let's stitch this on. So many of you got kids like that who just, just want to come in and go, I'm looking for this, what are we doing? And they know you're filming, they know you're trying to, it disturbs the flow. Of creativity. There you go. I'll give it a ball and she'll do it. Bottle of beds, that is. Okay. That's the problem with the lockdown, that I've had my daughter staying with us for the best part of 6 months, 8 months. I mean, it's not fair on the youth of today that they've had to endure all this. So trying new stuff when you're mid, almost finished on an item, it can be quite annoying. I'm sure a lot of this will be edited out anyway, so if it's longer than my son, the editor, producer, director says it's too long, then it's up to him. I'll try and get as much in as we can for you, so you can at least see what goes in to making one. But we're almost finished anyway, so but if I think of a nice novel idea while I'm doing something, I like to do it and see if it comes out. If it comes out okay, it comes out okay. I mean, there's no guarantee it will. One that can only try. Snip off any excess now. Need. buckle. That goes on. And what I'll do with this, I'll do a little fold at the bottom. And this is basically so that it doesn't, the top of the buckle doesn't slide off. Now, just stitch it across a couple of times. If you've got to zigzag this, it takes seconds, not a minute, like this is taking now. There you go. Like I said, nothing spectacular. Probably waffled on far too long on this DVD. On this video, I should say DVD. Okay, so let's have a look what we got. A pouch, which is just basically a single water bottle pouch if I wanted it to be a single water bottle pouch. Velcro on the lid, buckle, close, pull tight. Yeah. Now, keen-eyed people amongst you say, I can see the Velcro. Correct. Take your water bottle out, use your utility pouch, put something in there that's a bit smaller, Velcro comes over, buckle goes on, it's pulled tight, and it closes down a lot tighter. Yeah. So basically, you know, it's got two functions, or more than one function, two. Right. Going along the edge of the tape at the bottom because it's fraying a little bit and I don't want that. So, okay, there you go. So that's almost finished now. So now all I'm going to do now is take this nice long strip of edge tape and edge it off like I've done this one. Shouldn't take it too long. We'll be finished in a few minutes. And I like to start at the bottom in the middle, because at the bottom of a pouch you're never really gonna, most people don't look at the bottom of a pouch, you always look at the top and the buckle and places like that. So I tend to push it on, put it this way a little bit. Up. Okay. You don't have to start at the bottom, you can start at the top if you wanted, but then you would see then where the join is. You can go a little bit slower. As you can tell, the machine is racing a little bit. So you got to make sure the top is under, the bottom is under. It's pulled underneath and the top is over. Just pierce it as end to. Put it nice and tight. It does take a bit of fiddling. You know, when you go around the second time, you know, you can do any adjustments if you need to. You could just stitch it to once if you wanted, but then that wouldn't be me if I stitched it once, and then you wouldn't nose me. Knows that I like to overstitch things. Stitching will probably outlast the material, to be honest. and it's just take your time, a little bit of perseverance around corners. Just take your time cleaning around. You know, just make sure you're covering up the stitch. Yeah. So yeah, we're getting to that point now where we're almost finished on this. You know, if you like this, what you see me doing, and you think that you could do it yourself, please have a go, by all means. You know, don't need any special skills, you don't need special machinery. You know, trying something for the first time is a bit daunting, yes. Sometimes you can go a little bit too much, like I just done there. And now I've got to snip that corner a little bit, and you put it in quite enough. This is what you got to have to hand a nice sharp incline. Sometimes it pays to concentrate a little bit more. And this is why I go around a second time, just to make sure that I've got every bit covered. I'm going to come off. So even on this side here, the first side I went around earlier, doesn't really matter. I mean, I'm just being a bit picky here, but you know, and some will say I'm wasting time. Others will say, you know, if you're just making it for yourself, what's the issue? Well, there isn't one really. So take that off there. Snip that off there. Snip that off there. Got quite a bit left of that. Just inspect my stitching to see what it looks like. It's not too bad. Apart from those two corners, on the whole, not too bad. Like I said, not perfect, but you know, was perfect. Okay, the reason why that went a little bit skewy is because I didn't pull it tight enough and stop not quite where I should have stopped on the machine. But you know, like I said, you're not going to get it perfect, so don't worry about it. You know, as long as you can rectify your mistake. And it's just a matter of having a little bit of a play around with it, because I like my corners to be neat. And that's just basically all it was just where it overlapped and stitched. Yeah. So all I'll do now is I'll go around again. The first thing I'll do is I'll stitch that way around a little bit, just to make sure that I've stitched that corner properly. Not having it. Not having it that way. So there's a bit of a waste. Let's pull that out. And go from the other way. Okie dokie. Snip that off there. Okay, so there we have it. That is your pouch pretty much finished. Now, if you remembered earlier, I made this strip and I couldn't stitch it the way I wanted to on the inside, the back of there at the time. However, I can now. Why? Because I can stitch along the hard piece there. I can just stitch it on there, stitch it on there, and that will create that loop that I require. Now I'm going to have to make another one of these, because if I'm going to put one on either side, because then I can either have it on the left or the right of my belt, then that's what I'll do, but I'll do that a little later. No point in showing you that because you've already seen it on the pouch, so you know what I mean. Basically, it's going to just be a stitch on of that onto the actual end bit there, a little stitch there, a little stitch there. It's only designed to stop the pouch going forward, so I'll stitch it on there where it won't interfere with the pouch at all, and that's it basically. So what have we achieved? Well, we've basically achieved a water bottle pouch that you can put a cup in with a bottle if required. It's nice and snug. It's a simple pouch to do a simple job, which is carry a water bottle and nothing else except a couple of little essentials. Yeah, and that's it. It'll fit onto a belt, quite a wide one. It'll fit on the side pocket of a day sack if you've got a day sack, if you put a loop through. Yeah, it's got two internal pockets, one to the front, one to the back. Like I said, you can carry some purity tabs, some salt in the back or in the front. Bit of Scotch-Brite. It's got a lid pocket as well with the Velcro on it. Now, so it's a slight upgrade from this version, as you can see. That's got a little bit of Velcro on it. You can see where I stitched the buckle on. With this, you can just see a pocket with a bit of Velcro on it. So it's another version. Although it looks the same from the back, near enough, apart from different colour in materials, obviously. The strapping is slightly different. This was newer strapping than I bought recently. This is old strapping from old webbing. This is some of the product I got from Contact Left, green web strap. You can see there's quite a little bit of a difference in colour. Don't know why that is. It's supposed to be the same as this, but there you go. I'm not going to worry too much about it because you're not going to see it. This is going to be on a belt. So if you like this program, this one is a bit longer than the last one, I know, but I was asked to show how you can make a bigger pouch. The last project I done was the smaller pouch for a multi-tool. Very simple, very easy to make pouches. If anyone wants me to do the measurements of this pocket, put it onto paper, what I'll do is, if they send me their details, I'll draw it out on some A4, and then all you got to do basically is just lay it on your material, draw around it, cut it out, and away you go. Yeah, I'll do that. I'll do a plan for you. It's quite simple, but if you watch the video you can see, like I said, I usually look at what I've got and decide on how big I'm going to make it or how small I'm going to make them, and then just measure off that. So I wanted it about 7 inches deep. I didn't want it so deep that I couldn't get into the pouch. I wanted it so that if I just got a water bottle in it, like so, you know, I can just see the top. You know, if I'm using this type of top, you know, on the bottle, which you can use. This is a clean canteen top. Some will say sacrilege putting it on a Pathfinder bottle, but there you go. Again, you can still use it, you know, and it'll still close. Still be able to use the Velcro, still be able to use the buckle. Yeah. Like I said, if you were going to use this particular top on this bottle in this pouch, you would have made it a little bit longer, the lid. But because I wanted to make a utility pouch as well, it into a utility pouch, so I could carry other things other than water bottle in it. That's why I done it the way I done it. So, if you liked this program, please think of subscribing. We would like you to subscribe. Obviously, the more people we get subscribing, the better. Like I said, I'm not doing this for any comebacks. I'm not doing this for any monetary returns off anyone. I'm not looking for people to send me money to do projects. You earn your money, you keep your money. You know, if you want to learn how to make pouches like this, it is so easy. You've seen how easy that was. I mean, yes, it's taking us a little longer, but you can knock one of these up in 2 hours quite comfortably. Yeah, just take your time. And like I said, use a bit of scrap material first, have a little go. If your measurements are pretty accurate, and it don't take a lot to put your measurements accurate. Like I said, if you make a mock-up, you'll figure it out, and you'll go click, and you'll do it. You know, that is the most simple pouch you can do. Yes, I put a couple of pockets in it. Yes, I did put a backing on it. You don't have to put a backing on the back. You can put a pocket on the back, so you don't need any of this backing material. You could just use cordura as it is. Yeah, it'd be a lot lighter. But like I said, I like a bit of backing on it because it gives it a bit more rigidity and strength to it. I have found pouches in the past outside in shops. They've got padding on them. Some of the MOD ones had padding in them, foam. I'm not a big lover of that. I mean, for many years we used, canvas webbing. When it got wet, it shrunk, and stuff like that. Oh, it was just a nightmare for years and years and years using that stuff, the old 58 webbing, until he brought in a nice 80 pattern stuff, which was really nice. That was in green as well, which is why I like the green. And not only that, it's just a nice colour. It goes with just about anything. It goes with black, it goes with brown. And if you're like me, I like to wear drab colours when I'm out in the woods and places like that. I don't like going out for all these fancy reds and pinks and oranges out in the field. Yes, I will carry something orange, as an emergency, i.e. a waistcoat or a high-vis top in my bag somewhere. It's easier than carrying a flag and a big piece of orange material, because you can use it for other things. And if you get the mesh ones, which are even better, you could use that as a net. Anyways, back to the product. So if you like the program, like I said, please subscribe, pass it on to your friends, share it with your friends, ask them to share it with their friends and subscribe if they want. I would like to subscribe. Like I said, the first 50th person we get subscribing to our channel, I'm going to send them one of my pry bars. When I do the next video, you'll see what I mean, how easy they are to make as I'll make one. It don't take too long to knock one out. You can use them for prying window frames, door frames. You can use them for splitting wood as well. So they are pretty easy to use. Some of the ones you buy out off eBay and Amazon are pricey, and that's the thing that always gets me. These people take advantage of people. Some of the stuff you buy looks good. When you get it, it doesn't meet your requirements. Typical example, I bought a monocle type telescope, extendable one, for £30, which is not a lot of money really. The one I was looking at on the article had a golden eagle on it, picture on the outside of the casing. When I received it, it didn't have none of that. When I extended it out, it was loose and sort of bent upwards. So in my opinion, it was one of these articles that people get you to like the look of, and then you order it and it's not what you know. People have said, oh yeah, it's excellent, it's exactly what I wanted, but I'm finicky and I'm very picky about what I buy. So I'm very careful in what I do, and what I tend to do is when I'm choosing gear, I always look for certain things that are going to be of use for me and other people. So if I can think of something or choose an item that I know they're going to use for a long time, then that's what I'll do. So what I've done recently, many of you may have seen me do this torch pouch recently. It's a lead lens, a torch pouch. Inside is a little pocket on the back for 2 or 3 sets of batteries, spare batteries. These take 3 AAA batteries, so it's nice to carry a couple of extra ones in there. Yeah, Velcro, crested, job done. Now I've had a monocle for when did I make this? A long time ago. I had an old pair of binos, and I didn't want to carry a pair of full binos, so I cut them down, and I used the one side that was adjustable from the top, and basically made myself a little monocle, and I've had that for a long time. I kept it in a little pouch, glasses pouch, for a long time, kept it in my webbing for years and years and years, used it, I think it's a 10 by 25, and it served me well. And the other night I was sitting out here in my little fortress of solitude, as you want, and I knocked up a pouch. I thought, well, let's go for it. And if it's nice and snug in there, bit of Velcro, closed popper stud, again belt loop on the back so it'll fit on my belts. So you know, I've got a torch and a monocle, nice and black. I will get round to making them in green, so you can see how they're made in green. But that's time, you know. But like I said, you know, we're looking to get more people subscribing, so if you can pass it on to your friends, if you like this channel, if there's something you want to see, like I said, I'm trying to keep it unique. I don't want to be doing the same thing as other people. I don't want to fall into that trap of going down to the woods, building shelters, you know, building a little fireplace, getting a fire on and chucking a steak on and sitting there drinking coffee and eating a steak. Yes, I know that it looks great, and if people want to see that, I'll do that. That's not a problem. But in my opinion, you know, most people who do bushcraft know how to build a shelter. They know how to build a fire. So we're going to try and keep it unique. I'm hopefully in the next program I'm going to do some pry bars and some other little bits. I've got an interesting episode that I'm still thinking about, and that's adapting things you find in and around your house to use out in the field, basically. So I hope you like this program. It's a bit long. I'm sure my son will edit it a bit and edit some of it out so you can see it a bit better. And like I said, I got a couple of little bits for this now, just put a couple of little loops on it. So if you like this, please subscribe again. Please follow us, comment. We're going to try and get this open onto Facebook so that you can comment on Facebook and follow us on Facebook. What else is there? Yeah, and basically if you like it, please, you know, leave a comment. I love comments off people. If you feel the content is not quite right for you, please stay. You know, so say you want to see something. You know, like I said, I've got 40 odd years of experience of walking mountains and getting out there. You know, 20 years of soldering. Bushcraft I've been doing since I was about 9 or 10. Learning stuff since then. So there's a lot of knowledge that I've got, and sometimes I can talk for hours and hours on a subject, as some people will bear with me when we went to the Bushcraft Fair up in Derby just over a year and a half ago, and I got chatting to a couple of people around the table, and we're talking about different aspects of survival and bushcraft. The guy turned around to me and said, "You should be in there talking," he said, "because the stuff you're talking about is much better than what they're talking about." and I was quite gobsmacked by that, and that was a very excellent comment. I'm more practical minded, I'm more of a hands-on approach sort of a person. You know, I'm easily approachable. If you see me out and about, please feel free to come over and chat. I'm not going to tell you where to go. You know, I'll stop and talk. You know, I mean, I know COVID stops a lot of that at the moment, but obviously, I mean, as we're getting, you know, better, you know, as things start to open up again and people start to get back out, please feel free if you see me out and about. If you see me at any of these fairs, if you know of any fairs that are coming up, bushcraft fairs, or any of these meets that they have around the country and they're local, you know, fairly close to Wales, please drop us a line. We'll go. I want to go. I want to get around people. I want to chat. I want to swap stories. I want to swap methods for doing things, and you know, I want to learn as much as they want to learn, and you want to learn. So let's get out there. Let's get this program out and about. This is a homegrown program from South Wales in the UK. Yeah, and we're trying to get out there and established so that we can make people aware that there are people in Wales that do these things. And Wales is a beautiful country to come and visit. So if any of you are thinking of coming to the UK, please come down to South Wales. It's beautiful down there. You know, rolling green mountainsides. Anyway, I've talked enough. Thank you very much for coming onto the program. We'll see you again. This is Pack 48. My name is Phil.